Welcome to this chess video, everyone. We've got a really cool miniature for this one. One of my club vote chess games has just ended. There's a lot of strong chess players on both sides, including some title players, so it's really surprising that we won this quickly and decisively. So let's get right to it. We decided to start the game with pawn to e4. They chose pawn to e5, pretty standard so far. Now we decided to try something a little bit less common, and we started with knight to c3. And after they played this move, and we play bishop c4, we are in the Max Lang defense of the Vienna game. The game continues like this, and now knight f3 is a solid developing move, and then you simply get castled. But we want to play this game a little bit more ambitiously, and so our team voted for pawn to f4. They play d6, which is very reasonable here. So if there's ever a trade, they can replace the central pawn on e5. Both sides continue developing, and here comes a really decisive decision. We chose to give up the pawn tension in the center, and we went with pawn to f5. Now it's worth noting we could have continued a little bit slower instead, maybe a positional move like knight to a4, trying to go after the bishop pair. But I really like the attacking f5 idea. See, the point is that we're aiming at their king side. Generally speaking, you want to be attacking in the direction your central pawns tend to be pointing, and so this is kind of signaling attack. We also have potential pieces coming to the g5 square, and if we're able to castle, we might get a rook on f1 to help support the f-pawn. Now it's not that simple. Of course black is going to try and stop us, and for example, we can't castle right now because of their bishop. So there are some problems to be solved, but at least we have an idea for an interesting attacking game. Now similarly, our opponent could have chosen to play this a little bit slower and more positionally. They could have also gone after the bishop pair with knight to a5, and you're really not keeping this bishop. I'll just show an example. This would be a mistake if you go here, because then they're still winning the bishop pair after this line. They'll trade, and then the engine actually likes either pawn a5, trying to gain really far space on the queen side, or instead of this, you can just play pawn to d5, and you're right away striking in the center. And I feel like black is slightly better there. Another better move than the game might have been knight to d4. If we were to trade knights that way, then we could try and put a knight in the center, and it's just about an equal game. But instead of both of those options, we had a different one, and this gave us the advantage immediately. On move 7 of the real game, they tried knight to g4, and you can tell the engine does not like this move. The engine continuation is even stronger than what we played. The engine wants bishop to g5, they have to move the queen or block with the knight, and then we get queen to d2, and we're very flexible. They've put a lot of pressure here. We've already pushed our f-pawn very far, and so it makes a lot of sense that we can try and prepare castling and continue developing our pieces. But we have a different attacking idea that I also really like a lot, which is knight to g5. What we're hoping for is that black plays a move like knight to d2, and we have a little bit of a trick up our sleeves. Now what they could have tried instead was bishop to f2 check, king to f1, and then knight e3, with the tactical idea of simply winning the bishop pair. The trade would go like this, and the only winning move for white to keep the advantage is pawn to h4. This is better than bringing the knight back and allowing them to attack our knight. And just to illustrate how tricky pawn h4 is, if they play h6, that's not even a threat for us. We'll just play queen to h5, and if they dare take that knight, we have h captures g5, reminiscent of the fishing pole trap in the Ruy Lopez, and they're going to get checkmated on either h7 or h8. Regardless what they do, we'll end up playing something like this, and the game ends. Now somehow we ended the game even quicker than this. They did go knight to f2, and so our strong trick up our sleeves that we had is queen to h5. We ignored the rook here, because of the very strong, not so subtle checkmate threat on h7. And if they don't want to give up the queen on g5, then h6 is the only valid idea. But after that, we have knight captures f7, and this is a very strong discovered check that we're threatening. Don't forget, knight to the h6 square would also be a double check, so they can't try an idea like knight a5 just to attack the bishop. In the game, they tried sacrificing here on f7. Of course, we take back with the queen, and here comes a real critical moment of this game. We had two real candidate moves we were considering here. One of them was pawn to f6, that looks really strong, just threatening checkmate with the queen. And then we also had bishop to g5. Notice that if their queen ever leaves the back rank, this would be checkmate. And if they try taking with the pawn, then this is a really picturesque mate as well, thanks to our bishop controlling g8. But when our team was discussing this variation, I chose to think, which one is better? Our team was in strong favor of f6, but I wanted to see if there was a concrete reason why bishop g5 wasn't working as well. Now I'm really proud of finding this defense here, and I can attribute this specifically to a guard's calculation book that I've been reading lately. It really helped me look for counterplay and try and analyze very difficult positions. Once I started looking for counterplay, it actually wasn't that difficult to find the defense. Remember, a key idea was the queen cannot leave the back rank. and so I thought, could we use the rook to defend the back rank instead? So all we have to do is move the bishop. And which of those squares is the most active to do so? It's bishop to e6. And our team wasn't even sure if this was still winning for us. It looked like this trade of queens here, we might actually be losing. I think we calculated maybe as far as this. But what we didn't see is white is actually still winning by a slight amount. They just have to play very accurately. Rook to f1 to save the attacked rook. We give up the bishop, but then we capture on f2. There's trades here, and now we are actually winning. Granted, it's only one pawn and a little bit of space, but it is some significant advantage. If we go back a little bit, and you didn't like sacrificing the rook for 2 minor pieces, another idea was pawn to h3, playing a little bit slow, with the core idea that we're just taking away this square from the knight, and effectively trapping this piece. But let's go back to pawn f6, because this is the one that we chose. We believe that this was much stronger, especially after the defensive idea of bishop e6 previously. And really, there's no defense against queen captures g7. Remember, you can't bring the queen here or here, because the white queen will simply take it in either case. And if the queen ever leaves the back rank, such as what we had here, then this is how the game finished: queen to g8 checkmate. The key is that bishop to e6 does not work here, because we have the simple threat of mate in 1 on g7. I thought it was a really cool attacking miniature, and I was really happy to find that defensive resource of bishop to e6. I hope this short game was instructional for everyone. At the very least, I hope it was entertaining. So thanks for stopping by. I will see you in the next chess video.